Hello, everybody. Today I would like to talk about the good men in my life, and there have been many. Of course, the first one was my father, and unfortunately, because of Satan's influence, I never got to know him. And that makes me sad, but I'll see him again in heaven. My Uncle Paul, also an extremely good man, and like my mother, his first wife was evil. And because of that, he suffered financially for years. But recovered. My dad never really recovered financially, but that's a whole nother story. It didn't happen till the last 11 years of his life. So yeah, I'm going to be looking up my Uncle Paul here in the near future. I'm not quite sure when God wants that to happen, but it will, and he'll be able to tell me about my dad and some other things I would like to know. I've already talked about my Grandpa B, and he's Santa Claus. He used to make candy for Christmas. And every year he would give us kids a crisp, clean, new, brand new $5 bill in a red envelope. So that's why he's Santa. Very good and holy man. And when he would lead grace, the prayer always started with "Bless this food and the hands that prepared it." Just a simple, beautiful opening to a prayer, and then he would request that it nourish our bodies and help us to do God's work, and list other blessings. And yeah, I think the food was cold by the time he was done praying, but really, I treasure hearing those words. My 7th grade history teacher, Dan Thornburg. Smart, intelligent, funny. Matter of fact, I had his class the year 76-77 school year. And during one lesson, he was, it must have been on a Monday after the football game. I wasn't into football at the time, didn't understand it at the time. But anyway, he said, that plastic helmets were the worst thing to ever happen to football because players were taking risks they weren't making with the leather helmets. And actually, leather helmets, as far as fire departments, are actually superior to plastic ones. So, hopefully, leather craftsmen will start to become popular again, so our football players can have the best helmets, and our firefighters, too. My Grandpa Shirk. Great man. Very intelligent. He died at 71 after having had a stroke a couple years earlier. Way too young. Every day after work, he would change into his sweat clothes, go out into the garage and work out with weights. And he was old school. He did the basic power lifter moves. I don't think he did squats because he had a back injury. No, he did not do squats because of a back injury. God, if he'd been able to, my God. But one of my favorite pictures of him was, he's a teenager. He's probably 17 years old at the time. And he's curling these, he's curling a dumbbell. And it's probably got 50 to 100 pounds worth of weight on it. Very, very strong man. And it may have been more than that. You think Popeye had big arms? Yeah, my grandfather was 5'6" or 5'7", and his arms were massive. Matter of fact, one time he tore his biceps, and I don't remember which one it was. Had to have it surgically repaired, and of course he couldn't lift for, I don't remember how long after the surgery, because that was early 80s, and, you didn't have microsurgery back then like you do now. So it was actually probably several months. But I had this yellow candle with really soft wax in it. And I had another candle that was black. Long story short, I took the yellow wax and made 2 round dumbbells, or weights. Round, of course. And I then coated it in the black wax and attached them to a round toothpick so he could lift weights while he was recovering. And I think that's the favorite gift I've ever given anybody. And I know he appreciated it. Grandpa Shirk was going to be a school teacher. He actually grew up on a dairy farm, and his class in high school was only 4 people, and all 4 of them were still alive after 50 years when they had their one and only reunion. I know he treasured that reunion. But the day he was, but he wasn't able to graduate with this class, because the day he was due to graduate, his father fell ill, and his name was William, and ended up in the hospital and died 6 weeks later, which is ironic because my Grandpa B died 6 weeks after my dad did. But yeah, here he is from this little tiny school, and he'd been accepted to college, and the farm would have provided for that. Unfortunately, after his father died, he wasn't able to go to school. He went to work to support his mother, which he did until she died. She had to go to work eventually, and she died 4 months before I was born. Yeah, I wish I'd gotten to meet her too, but yeah, I should have been able to know both of them, because she was only like 63 when she died, and my great-grandfather, William Shirk, I think was 51 when he died. His exact birth date wasn't known, because I believe he was born on the Oregon Trail. Yeah, that's Monday. Another great man in my life was my first team leader when I was a student custodian at Ball State. His name was Owen R. Dudley. His nickname was Bus, and at work we called him the old bald-headed bastard, because he kept his hair pretty much shaved, and if it got much more than about 1/3 of an inch, out came the clippers again. He was actually legally blind when I knew him, and I didn't know this until right before he retired, actually. No, I knew it long before that because he couldn't drive. So his wife would pick him up. A delightful lady named Margaret. She had a stroke a few months before Bus retired. But she did at least partially recover from that. Their son Tom. Oh, let me go back to Bus. He had served in World War II, was a paratrooper, attained the rank of sergeant, which was very hard to do back then. The military wasn't a career back then like it is now. Except for officers, you went in, you did your time, and you left. So anyway, he was a paratrooper, and one time, somebody he knew owned a gas station. He was in trouble with the federal government because his gas rationing coupons were out of kilter, and Bus said, "I'll take care of you." He obtained a bunch of ration tickets. How? I don't know. Obviously, because he was through the military. He took in like a whole bag full of them. And this was apparently early in the evening, because he said the minute he left, the guy turned off the sign, locked the door, and started getting his books in order. So, great generous man. Unfortunately, he was an alcoholic for several years. He's got some funny stories about that. His poor wife was a saint to put up with some of the stuff he did while he was drunk. Fortunately, none of it was horrible. Worked hard all of his life. One time he was a bartender, and a couple people got in a fight, and he went out to break it up. And somebody bit off the tip of his ear. So, his ear, you could see where it happened. And guy had to have been a lot taller than Bus was, because he wasn't that tall anyway. He was probably about the size of my Grandpa Shirk. Maybe 5'6" to 5'8". Anyway, guy bit his ear off, and apparently swallowed it because they never found it. And he didn't even know it until afterwards, when somebody said, "Bus, your ear's bleeding." So yeah, he got stitched back up, and when he went to apply for Social Security, it was a guy that processed his application, and this was in the paper days. And he said, "I want to shake the hand of the fool who should have been on disability for 10 years because of his blindness." But, he was a proud man, loved supporting his family, loved his wife, loved his kids. And I am so blessed to have known him, and unfortunately, he died about a year, probably less, after I moved out of Muncie, and my mom, the evil hag, God bless her soul, didn't tell me about it, and I know she read the obituaries. But he had a nice military funeral, and one of these days I'm going to go visit his grave and put an American flag on it. His son Tom, when he graduated from high school, went to join the Army. And the recruiter said, "Well, do you want to be a paratrooper like your old man was?" Oh yeah, Bus was a paratrooper on D-Day. And his son said, "The only two things that fall out of the sky are bird shit and fools. Yeah, Tom became a paratrooper. Loved it. He ended up having a back injury that wasn't going to preclude him from serving in the military, but it was going to preclude him from being a paratrooper, and he loved that so much that he went on disability. Again, not a rich man. I remember him picking up his dad once in a beat-up old pickup truck, but I'll bet you that thing ran like a dream. So, yeah. Oh, so many other good men in my life, but I think I've covered the ones I want to right now. I hope you are blessed with good men in your life, and have a good day.